City relies on, related to that, the business funding it means the city relies on the private sector to fund the infrastructure improvements. It's a constraint because other cities don't, as it was just discussed. And that there is a fundamental assumption that the private sector, even before this collapse, that the private sector can afford to do that. That was an inherent assumption in those policies that is not based on any facts. I'm not saying it's not true, but there's no facts to support it or de-support it.
And if I just may interrupt for a moment, it has been, I think, the philosophy, if you will, rightly or wrongly, in that new development pays for itself, in that if a business wants to come to Dixon, they'll pay to come to Dixon. And I agree with you. That's a flawed philosophy and something that I think in the long run, and hindsight's always 20/20, I think has put us in the position that we're in today.
The only thing I would say is slightly different is I wouldn't use the term right or wrong. Those are judgmental. I would say successful or unsuccessful.
That's
It's
fine.
been unsuccessful.
I concede to that.
Okay. Opportunities, there is demand for land. That's the good news. There's really good news. There's been demand for land. We're not talking about a community here where we have to knock on the doors to get the demand. Now, we'd like to have some more demand than what we see, but we have demand. And then we have a lot of land, far more than there is demand, and we have the strategic location, and we have, I'm not sure the update on this, but we had on the verge, less than a year ago, a series of property owners ready to sign on to an agreement to bring the water, to drill a well. So that's an asset, unless that's completely gone away. And we know we have sites, we have places, we know where the wells will go. We have a plan for where these wells will go. That's an asset. And if the latest Flying J proposal was to come through, it would bring a lot of backbone infrastructure to that area. That's a potential opportunity as well. Okay, recommendations relating to the Northeast Quad. The Northeast Quad Financing District is the water assessment district, so implement it if it's still possible. Water is necessary to develop that area. Without it, it's not going to happen. Determine the feasibility of private financing of these improvements. I say that only to try to provide information to those of you that are on that do have the philosophy that private development should pay for itself. We would recommend that you first make sure that that's true, that private sector can pay for itself. That's what that recommendation is all about. Okay, this is third one, 13 here, federal and state grants. Frankly, that's kind of weak because we don't have much in the way of federal and state grants. But that could be changing in a significant way, and let's take advantage of it. And then the last one is, I think, important here is we want to, kind of like that discussion of infill, focus on developing the parcels that are closest to the existing wastewater collection lines. That's the costly stuff. So build a building block, and in the report it shows where those parcels are and kind of provides a vision of how you can articulate that 56 acres out going forward from Vaughan Road up. So building block, focusing on the infill, the easy ones to do that are not so costly. Okay, and then the last one, I know this I said I wasn't going to recommend anything that costs money, but that one does. Well, it's an investment is the answer. And in the report, it shows that your staff is woefully underfunded you're woefully understaffed relative to your competitors. Okay, just like that discussion about the development fees, you have fewer staff to implement more stuff than your competitors do. So, last slide here, stimulus projects, and that's what I mean is that 21 billion plus or minus something. Good opportunities are housing foreclosure assistance, that's coming. Housing agency could be in place. That is actually a very important part of your economic development program at this point. Amtrak stop, it's got your name all over it. Not only, I want to make sure we researched this. The Solana Transit Authority has done regional studies. Dixon Amtrak stop is the highest priority of all these projects. It is the next project in the regional plan. So I'm not just speaking pie in the sky. This has already been vetted in a regional way, and you're next. And I forget the cost on this. We looked into it. It's a lot of money, but we could get it, maybe. It's unknown. We might know tomorrow.
This next item is the big barrier at this point.
Yeah, it's related. And then I think this is not to be dismissed here, the UC Davis partnership. And I know UC Davis is like it's a big entity, but green energy is really important. You're in a great position with your physical location next to UC Davis and the available land. Really got to hit that partnership with UC Davis to see the benefits of Dixon Davis, UC Davis relationship. Now, maybe you can get a new wastewater treatment plant out of this economic stimulus package. I think we don't know yet, if you want it. I know that's an issue whether you even want it, but if you want it, maybe the money's there. Certainly, additional water wells. This finance district falls through. Let's get some water wells going out there so that we have one of the blocks in place. Flood control, storm drainage, all of that is related to a kind of a master planning of the Northeast Quad through all these property owners. All of those there might be money. And the continued funding of more core drainage improvements. Now, unknown but possible is definitely possible that an infrastructure could be in place for a lot of small business loans. And I know that Mark runs a small one now, but that would need to be expanded. And that gets into the staff thing too. You're going to have, if these things happen, there might be a need for more staff to manage these things. A combination of housing foreclosures and small business loans is a full-time job. Streetscape improvements are a possibility. I heard there's a big controversy over public art in the stimulus plan. It's not very far stretched to go streetscape improvements. Expanded loans and grants to new wastewater collection lines to fund them. So that's it. Like I said, there's a lot of information in there, I think, but what I'm hoping that you can really benefit from and chew on over time is to use this report as a way of really thinking through the priorities and how to invest the city's resources. And certainly I was hoping that you can take this off the shelf and submit it for your share of the economic stimulus bill. Use it as collateral information that we've gone through our process, we know what we want, and these are the projects that we want to fund. Okay. With some twist to it, I'm sure. So with that, I'm available for questions, okay. Whatever.
Any questions of staff or council before I turn it over to comments from the public? Okay, we'll now open it up for comments from the public. Anybody wishing to speak? Ms. Foss?